Customer experience can either be looked at as a noun or a verb. Customer experience as a noun is more the people who do the work and it's like surveys, it's function. The verb of customer experience is exactly that. It is the experience that customers have with your organization, which means it's everything
Right.
from website to call center, obviously the more traditional to chatbot to brand, everything now, every type of interaction is part of that experience. And because of that, this decentralized approach has pushed, say, all right, well, now everybody's going to do CX. Well, here's the problem. When everybody is responsible, no one's really responsible.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Your Customer, Your Success. Joining me today is Sean Albertson. Sean is a customer experience consultant and strategist, as well as a keynote speaker with over 20 years of expertise in developing and optimizing customer journeys. Throughout his career, Sean has cultivated relationships across customer service, marketing, product management, pricing strategy, and technology implementation. This multifaceted background enables him to work effectively across organizations to drive that customer centric transformation. Sean shares his insights and his methodologies in his book, Four Rocks: Reduce Effort, Drive Loyalty, Transform the Customer, which is a guide for organizations seeking to elevate their customer experience. Sean, we are super excited to have you here today. Welcome to the show.
Gary, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
It's been a few rounds we've chatted back and forth, so I think we're on the same wavelength on a lot of different topics. So I'm really excited to have you on the show. And without further ado, I kind of want to get right to it, right? I'm going to lead the questioning with a quote from a CX leader, and that CX leader is you. And I heard you say a couple of months ago, plain and simple on a podcast, being a customer today sucks. Why? What's going on out there?
Well, customer experience, it's ebb and flowing through this whole history of what it is. I mean, it actually, started, the term was coined in the 1990s, like I think it was 96, but it's had various, success and challenges, and it's just gone back and forth. And ultimately, one of the problems we're having right now is it's changing so fast under our feet. I mean, customer expectations are growing exponentially because their last best experience with the best companies is now their minimum expectation for everybody else. And so, those of us in business, even if we're not getting worse, the expectations are getting higher. So we feel like we're getting worse. But the other side of it is CX as a job, a career, as a function in business has gone back and forth between centralized, decentralized, et cetera. And we're really in this midst of decentralizing customer experience in many ways. The customer experience practitioners, for instance, I've seen so many layoffs over the last year across my network and people I know, and it's been recognized in the industry that things are kind of rough right now for the CX. And part of it is, unfortunately, those CXers and maybe some of the CXers, they didn't really embrace the full component of customer experience, because customer experience can either be looked at as a noun or a verb. Like customer experience as a noun is more the people who do the work and it's like surveys, it's function. The verb of customer experience is exactly that. It is the experience that customers have with your organization, which means it's everything.
Right.
From website to call center, obviously the more traditional, to chatbot, to brand, to everything now, every type of interaction is part of that experience. And because of that, this decentralized approach has pushed, say, all right, well, now everybody's going to do CX. Well, here's the problem. When everybody is responsible, no one's really responsible. I like to use that quote a ton because, the reality is at that point, there's nobody leading the ship really. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And that's where the silos come in and things get worse. So we are seeing some of the same time we're seeing layoffs of these CX professionals. We're seeing some of the worst, results in national and industry level surveys around Net Promoter Score or effort or anything else. We're seeing some of the worst performance we have in the last 5 years too. So it's kind of, I don't think it's one without the other. I think it's partly both.
Right. No, and I'm glad you brought that up because my background is in financial services, as is yours. And as a matter of fact, we actually overlapped at a company for a brief period of time. We didn't know each other at the time.
Yeah.
But that's what you see a lot in financial services, and what I've been trying to preach is you see that decentralization, and you have a whole bunch of teams running around uh, trying to figure it out on their own, and you're trying to do the best you can, and people are really trying to do right by their clients and their customers, but you run into what I call the chaos. It just becomes absolute organized chaos without that centralized focus on the customer. I think there's a difference between customer centricity and customer focus. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think one is you're encompassing that mindset across the board. One is you have individual teams really trying their best for their individual uh, clients or customers, and you don't get that consistency across the board. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges. I mean, you can say we've got a customer centric culture and, the customer is at the heart of everything we do, but people just naturally line up in silos. Organizations, reinforce
You
that. So while I'm doing best for the customer in my area, if I'm not connecting to the other different channels or the other different experiences that they're having to create something seamless across all of the journey, the entire journey of the customer, I'm still not doing the right thing. And so, I may think I'm doing the right thing, but sometimes it even puts me at odds with other groups who are trying to do other right things. So it's
right,
just one of those challenges that businesses are facing today.
right, and then it happens in financial services because you need those silos, like just
Yeah.
literally by regulatory thought processes and regulations. You need some of those silos, so it becomes a challenge. So okay, so what the heck are we going to do about it?
Well, I mean, this is, it's not, I mean, the silos and the things. The good news is that technology is actually going to help.
Hmm.
With the expansion of AI, with the use cases, with the platforms getting, smarter and more integrated, things are actually enabling us to get a little bit better. And not only that, that's the kind of the execution side, but on the research side, again, using AI, using tools, using data science and data analytics, integrating all of that data, as we've been doing over the last decade, kind of cloud data, et cetera, it's starting to enable us to even understand the experience. So while technology and tools are going to help us, it also takes, kind of that mental change of where's my focus? How am I going to drive that kind of impact across the business? Well, I mean, personally, we're creating a brand new collective. It's a community, online community and consulting program, CX on the Rocks. Because it
Hmm.
goes back to what we just talked about earlier. Customer experience is kind of on the rocks. And, we need a way to work past that and through that. And ultimately, this is part of where community comes together, where we across the board who are really passionate about experiences are working together to elevate the understanding of what experiences really are in today's day and age and the expectations that our customers have. And we work together to make sure that we're sharing knowledge, we're sharing ideas, we're sharing solutions, and ultimately giving access to members to have, access to expert consultants in these areas to drive, their knowledge at a higher level as well.
Is that live?
It's going to be live by the end of the first quarter. So our
Awesome.
first newsletter went out today, and we have our first meeting probably in March, and then we'll really launch the rest of the community, the online community. April 1st is well. April 1st is, I don't know that I want to do it on that day, but maybe April 2nd, get
April
past
2nd.
the, exactly, April Fool's Day. But yeah, we're almost ready to go. In fact, we're gathering interest. So at the website, cxontherocks.com, you
Hmm.
can sign up for more information and as well, sign up if you want to be a part of the community and learn and grow together.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that and taking some proactive steps to count me in. I will certainly be signing up for that and happy to join that community. So good for you. Awesome. Good luck with that. So let's get into some tangible stuff because I've seen you in action and you are fabulous at talking about actual implementation of technology, AI strategy, things like that. Maybe I'll start with your own talking points. Your three P's: people, process, platform. Right?
Yeah.
What I like about it is platforms last. Why?
Yeah. Well, again, a lot of companies, when chatbots came out, AI, generative AI and the ability to do this, they ran after the technology first. headlong into the shiny new piece of technology. We always hear about that, right? The shiny
Right.
new tech. Well, and unfortunately, that's where they saw a lot of the challenges, because they didn't have their people and their processes ready. Technology is only as good as, and ultimately, who's going to use it and
Mhm.
how you're going to use it. That's where people and process have to come first. Now, it's also, in the new day and age, that's always been relevant for any new technology, but with AI, even more so, it's scaring a lot of people. I mean, there are a lot of people that are uncertain. They're worried about their job. They're worried about what they're going to have to change their own career and things of that nature. And so, if you don't start with people in this context, they're going to actually feel throughout that process that I'm worried about things. You want to get that out of the way in the beginning. You want to make sure that the people understand, why are you doing it? What's the alignment? What is the purpose? Where are you going? What's the vision? I mean, really back to mission, vision, and values from the organization of how is this going to enhance those, from that. And I still find companies that I talk to that don't really have good mission, vision, or values for
Right.
their employees to rally around. But
Right.
really understanding it, because it's their hearts, and minds that are going to go into this on your behalf. Because technology won't replace, I feel strongly, won't replace the need for humans.
Right.
It will enhance human capability. But the reality is, the more tech we throw at companies, the more they're going to want people.
Right.
I know if I have a problem, the last thing I want to do is try to talk to a chatbot or
Right.
voice AI. I want to talk to a person. Now, if it's just a general transaction, sure, I'll use the tech. But if I have a problem, I want to talk to a person. And so that's never going to really go away. That's why people has to be at the core still in this new day and age. And then it's the process, making sure how are you going to use that, the technology? How are you going to make sure that people are involved in that capability? How are you going to align technology across the different touch points and capabilities, and everything else that you're doing for the customer? And then finally, after you get all the processes underway, because again, this goes back to what there's always been that saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Hmm.
AI is putting a spotlight on the garbage. I mean, it is like elevating the awareness of your
Garbage.
garbage using AI. So
Right.
you got to you got to get all that data, the processes, and everything else done, and then you can go after the technology.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you know why you're going to use it. You're not just saying, I'm going to implement tech because I want to reduce cost. You're saying, I want to reduce tech because I want to create better experience in these ways for this purpose. Oh, and by the benefit, I might reduce costs in that way as well. That's the right way to approach it. And unfortunately, a lot of companies go the reverse: technology, process, and then people, and they're scrounging to wonder why their
They're
employees
suffering
are unmotivated or
and struggling.
challenged with the environment.
Right. And it's not always, you got to check the results too. I don't know how this is a word in from financial services, reconciling
Yeah,
your results, because I just asked, right, talk about as simple gets. Was watching football this weekend, and we're recording this after the AFC and NFC championships, where the Eagles ran up the score. And I said, hey, what's the most amount of points ever in an NFC championship game? And they gave me the wrong answer. And I knew it because they said it was the Denver Broncos, and they gave me the Super Bowl results from 90, when they ran it up like 55-10 or something.
yeah,
And so, you ask the question, you don't get the proper results all the time. And that's
yeah.
just a simple football example. But when you're talking about real money and real clients, it's serious stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so we're not quite there yet. And I would say you got to have some people reconciling yeah, your scores. So interesting stuff. So I've heard you talk. Let's keep drilling down a little bit, if you don't mind. What is an effective use of technology? I've heard you talk some before in terms of data and technology making the journey better, right? And we're talking more. This is more of a service center, text analytics type of thing. You've talked about this in a word. You used this word before. I heard you use it. Situationalization.
Yes.
Can you tell us, maybe let's give an example of a use of the technology that's worked and has helped agents deliver a better journey for customers?
Oh yeah. Well, and that's where it's so exciting right now. I'll preface this by, again, it goes back to, you know, humans are still going to be at the core of your face, your voice, someone that a client or a customer can relate to. They can't relate to AI. They can use AI. They can't relate to it. So it still has to be your face and your voice from that perspective. And I've run contact centers and call centers for decades, in source, outsource, offshore, near shore. I mean, just kind of all the gamut of that. And, one of the keys is understanding that the call center and the customer service organization has always been challenged by staffing. It's
Hmm.
always been challenged by having the right people and not letting those people get too burned out in what they do every day. I
Right.
started on the phones. Going back to the company we both worked for. That's where I started on the phones,
On the
was
phone.
was in the call center. And the challenges with that is that you've got to find ways to enhance, because some of the best people I've seen over the years in these call centers on creating empathy and relationship didn't cut it as a contact center agent, because they couldn't handle the 15 systems that most agents have to use, bouncing around trying to get one thing accomplished for the
Yeah.
customer.
I love that.
This
Yep.
is where AI is so exciting. And there are some great companies out there that are doing some amazing things in this agent assist. The ability to leverage the human empathy, the human relationship, the human personality, but create greater efficiency by helping them do the work. I was asked 2 summers ago on a panel, what's the future of the contact center going to look like in 5 years? And I said, okay. I said, I think the reality is, as an employee in the contact center, am having great relationships, building rapport, having great conversations with the customer, doing effective work. But the AI is doing all of the work. It's listening, going back to financial services, to you say, I want to drop a trade for 10,000 shares of X, not the platform, just
Yeah, yeah. Right.
generically, the
Generic stuff.
10,000
Yeah.
shares of X,
Mhm.
and it's plugging it into the system. I'm validating that it's plugged in right. And as you're saying something as a customer, the right kind of FAQs or resources are coming up, and I'm not now, as a agent, having to do the 15 systems. They're being integrated using the AI platform to help me do that effectively.
Mhm.
That's amazing. And that's why I said that would be happen in 5 years. And we're already seeing that. I mean, we're 2 years in, and it's already becoming part of a reality. And this is where we go, because now those great people that build a relationship that couldn't cut it previously are going to be excellent now.
Mhm.
And as I look at this kind of multiverse of what, customer experience can look like, they could become a much higher paid employee of the organization, because their efficiency is built in, they're driving value and relationship. They may not be, stuck at kind of that entry level as we think forward. Now, some companies will go the other route, but other companies may really understand that and say, let's
Right.
raise the bar on what we pay those people, because they're so valuable to our brand and who we are.
Yeah, no, that's music to my ears, because certainly I've been um, a lesser. I have a lot less experience answering the phones in a call center environment, although I have done that. Mine's more of a B2B, face to face with direct client relationships. But again, we run into that same issue where you have different systems, different platforms, different process, different procedures, different people, and that's the main value of your job, is figuring out what the hell's going on, so
Right?
you
Yeah.
could actually get an answer for a client, because it becomes more chaotic as you go on, because you're running into this functionalization that
Mhm.
across the board the company still, we're going into this functionalization.
And it goes back to, kind of to pick up on the word that you used of mine, situationalization. And actually, I can't take full credit for that. That was on a panel that I was a part of. Someone else came up with it, but it's that integration now of personalization and customization, and going into the situation that's going on. It's that full real time proactive support that we're now able to have, that we haven't been able to before. We're getting close. Let's say we're not quite there yet, but we're getting much closer. Because think of it that now is to say, I, as a consumer, expect to have a personalized experience. Now, most people, when they think of that, they think of it as a sales process, but I want it in my service as well. I want to know exactly what's going on. And I think this is an opportunity for us to really understand what the situation is for our customers and act accordingly, because all that data allows us to understand what happened, where we were as a consumer, and go through that journey and say, hey, if I look at all of the customers that went before this customer, when they were going down this path, they ended up very upset. Now I can interrupt that and get them back on the right path.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I just lost power, and I don't know why, because it's the nicest day in 2 weeks out there. But I lost power for a few minutes. So with that pause in the action, I think it's time to head to my favorite segment, Does It Hold Water? And this is where I have my guest play our resident expert witness for the day. And we're going to read a comment, a quote, a suggestion from a thought leader, and we'll see if our guest thinks this idea holds water or not, if it has some holes in it, and why. So you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Sean. I've got uh, 10 predictions from a well-known CX thought leader and experience management leader. I'm only going to read you one. I'm sure as heck not going to read you all 10. But these are predictions for organizational shifts in 2025. And so basically, these are predictions about how organizations will begin to operate differently in 2025. You ready?
I'm ready.
Yours is insightful contact centers, real time interaction intelligence. AI will enable organizations to extract insights from every customer interaction, analyzing speech, chat, and email data in real time. These insights will inform actions across the business, from customer facing proactive recovery to agent based training and coaching. Example: a telecoms contact center spots a spike in dropped call complaints, triggering alerts to the network team while simultaneously generating updates to agent scripts and adjusting coaching schedules.
Wow, that was a lot.
It was. Do you
That
want me
was
to
a
read it?
lot.
You want me to read it again?
I think I got the gist of it. I mean, when you first started, I said that, I was like, well, that's already happening when you talk more about the learning and things of that
Exact.
nature. Because that's been going on for quite a while. But I agree with this. And to answer the question, yes, it holds water.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 2025 will be a big year of shift where it becomes more common.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you describe, some companies have been already doing, but now it's going to be more accessible to the other organizations. So using AI and that real time understanding and evaluation of the experience to change it kind of goes back to situationalization, change the outcome in real time. Like if for instance, someone going down the wrong path, get them back on the right path. But all of that being able to be integrated, that's going to be it's going to really start being more available in 2025. And the reason is a lot of these big companies are investing heavily in that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, that what you just described, you kind of would have to piecemeal it yourself, because you'd have to go find text analytics vendors with the CCAS platform, with survey vendors, with
Mm-hmm.
all of that. You usually would use, when I built programs like that, you would use 6, 7, 8 different vendors with different technology, and you'd kind of mush it together yourself. What's becoming now the capability is at a platform level. That's why I always, again, going into the 3 Ps, I don't say technology, I say platform,
Platform.
because it's the integration of the technologies for a single purpose, serving the customer. So that is a big, big. Now, will it be solved completely in 25? No, but it will become more common
Yeah.
in that in this new year that we're engaging in. So yeah, that definitely holds water to me.
Yeah, no, I didn't think this one was a challenge, so to speak, but I thought it was interesting to where are we really at, because my brain said some companies might be there, but not a lot.
Yeah,
Because it's not that simple, right? It's a little bit more complicated and it's a little more
it's a
expensive.
lot more, not a little bit more. It's a lot more complicated.
I know.
Yes, absolutely. It's a tough thing to really figure out,
Right.
but it's getting easier.
It's getting easier, right? But that's what I wanted to get out there. So I thought that was an interesting one for you. Good.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move over to chip shots now, which is our short form questions, which are a little simpler, but, quick thoughts, professional, yet a little bit more personal questions about your experiences and things that could help the listeners. And since I have to always ask somebody who has written a book to give me a book. What is one book that has significantly influenced your professional or personal life, and how did it impact you?
Well, I will definitely have to go with the professional. I come at my career now based on effort and being effortlessness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to call back to a friend of mine, Matt Dixon and Rick DeLisi and Rick Toma that did the book The Effortless Experience. It was actually 2013 book when they were over all working together, and that the company's actually defunct, so I won't even mention their name. But that book changed. It was one of two things that changed my outlook on understanding the customer experience. It's about effort. Effort in their book, when something's hard to do, create 4 times more likely to be disloyal to a brand. So
Right.
hard, disloyal. About 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when I did my own study now, much more sooner, it was 6 to 7% more likely.
Mm.
We just completed a report, State of CX in 2024, that found when something's hard to do now, a customer is 13 times more likely to be disloyal.
Wow.
Right? Let that sink in. Double digits now on that impact. So it all really rooted in that effortless experience, that original, because they're the ones who coined the customer effort score, and really that kind of that core of initiative around it. And I'm seeing it, proven time and time again. High effort drives disloyalty. So you can't do anything better than try to make things as easy as you can from that perspective.
Great one, because it also drives your employees crazy.
Yep.
And so that feeds right into the employee experience, which we didn't talk too much today, but that effort is felt by your team trying to make those customers successful, and that's not good either. And that's just going to you kind of go down that cycle of that downward spiral, right? If you keep doing that. So good one. Thank you for that. All right. This one is going to be interesting for you. I'm dying to hear what you think of this one. If you could spend the day shadowing a leader or professional in any industry, who would it be, and what would you hope to learn?
So I have actually, I knew you were going to ask me that question, because that's a tough one, and I really have struggled with two folks. So can I say two?
Yeah, sure.
So I would love to go back and really pick the brain of and watch and shadow Henry Ford.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was such a major shift in how we built products and how we worked. I mean, it's the foundation of everything at scale that we're now able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that perspective, really seeing that, I just want to see when that was happening and be a part of it and understand what was going on, because that was such game changing, for that time.
Mm-hmm.
And that had repercussions even to today. The second, is definitely going back, and I'd love to spend some time at Apple in the very beginning with Steve Jobs, because what he then did was take kind of that, that traditional way of doing things, but he shifted it on his head by focusing on, but what's the experience, what's the value that we deliver? And I mean, if you hear Simon Sinek talk about, him and that, that product, et cetera, it's all about the why, not about the specs or the things of that nature. And so those two pieces now, I was struggling to, between the two. So I'm just going to do both.
That's fine.
Give me a time machine and I'll just do a little bit of both.
We're going retro again. I like it. Folks are going retro, and I like that people are liking that question and expecting it now. So that's a cool one. So good. We'll take two. There are no rules. All right. So we're going to go to the advice question with you, but it's, I always give it an adjective, a descriptor. So for you, we're going to go the best piece of customer experience career advice that you've ever received, or that you want to share with the audience.
Yeah, so you mentioned kind of in my intro that I worked in marketing, I worked in product and pricing, I started in the call center. I basically ran every department you could in the call center, like training and quality and operations, et cetera. I worked in, data and technology departments, and then data and analytics, at the end of my corporate career before I started my own business. And when I was early in my career, I was kind of pigeonholed into those things. And, I did get very specific advice when I was working with T-Mobile, actually, is where I was working at the time. And they really were focused on get diverse experience, spend time in other departments, et cetera. And so I started doing that. So I did CX from all those different departments. I was responsible for customer experience, analytics, research, and strategy, but I came at it from all the different departments. Yep. So my piece of advice to pass on is to say, if you really want to enhance experiences of your customers, you really want to drive the power and the future, get as much diverse experience as you can. Don't get stuck in one area, because that's one of the other reasons I think a lot of the CX folks have struggled is they only really had one skill set. They were
Right.
really good at surveys. But what you need in this day and age as you move forward is all of the kind of experiences. You need to be able to talk to every department in the company to help them integrate their individual strategies with the program strategy and with the company strategy around CX. And so, yeah, I always advise, especially those younger in their career, get as much diverse experience, because it will pay off later.
Yeah.
Even if it's a lateral move, here and there during, the early days, it's still more valuable in the long term for you.
Yeah, no, that is great advice, because we've talked a lot about that with my colleagues in financial services. We know how to do everything because we did it. And the more
Yeah.
you functionalize, the younger folks are just getting one slice of the pie, where we understand the whole pie and bring that
Mm-hmm.
experience to the customer focus. And that's how you get stuff done, right? You understand exactly what you're doing. I've done everything from process trades by hand to talk to chief investment officers about investment strategy. So it's definitely something to consider, to really get a 360 view of the world the best that you can. So that's a great one. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more for you. I think this is a good one for you. Is there a particular experience or failure early in your career that taught you a valuable lesson that you still use today?
Wow. I failed a lot.
Join the club.
That, we all do, right? That's part of just, in many ways growing up, but as well. I think some of the biggest, if I look at probably the biggest learning opportunity I had, is really understanding, back earlier in one of the companies I worked for, is I was really focused on myself, on my career, on my growth, on my paycheck way too much. And I treated that as competition, and unfortunately then, the reality is, for most people, when you approach kind of your own career as a competition, you're the only loser, because it is about collaboration and influence, and more, again, going back to more today than ever. And I learned a lot from some time spent where I was too focused on me and not enough on my role. And we talked about, and you kind of introduced my book of Four Rocks. It's, on the wall behind me. But my upcoming book is going to be the 4 C's of experience, because what I realize now more than ever is balancing your experiences as a human. Now, customer experience is a key part of that. Who do you serve? Even if you're not in the call center, you serve a customer.
Right.
So customer experience being the first of that. Career experience, understanding its impact on how you grow. Community experience, based on your peers, your mentors, your family, and then core experience, your own personal values. You have to find balance across those. And so my example, for instance, I was focused so much on my career experience, all the other journeys, if you will, or experiences, the other C's were sacrificed. And you've got to find that balance. And it's been something new that I'm really passionate about. And the book will be coming out in the middle of 2025, if
Oh,
not a little sooner.
nice. So there is a new book out on the way. Awesome. Good for you. Awesome. Sean Albertson, thank you so much for joining us today. You have been awesome. Super duper guest. But where can folks find you? Because you do always have quite a lot going on.
So yeah, let me give you a couple of websites. So if you go to cxontherocks.com, I mentioned that earlier, that's where the community is. You can learn more about it. You can sign up. Please do that, because this is a community for you, something for where you can learn and participate and network with those around you. And it's not just for CX practitioners. It's for anybody who, again, like we said, everybody owns part of the experience.
That's
It's
right.
really for anybody in business. Now, my personal website is cx4rocks.com. So join me there. You can see some of my content, a little bit more about me, connect with me. And you can also connect me on LinkedIn under Sean Albertson. Happy to, in any of these methods, connect with you guys in the audience and help you in your path as, building great experiences for your customers as well.
Great stuff. Sean, thanks so much for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. And I appreciate the time.
You're quite welcome. Thank you all for joining us on Your Customer Your Success. We'll be back soon with more CX leaders, customer success leaders, and we're going to delve a little bit more into leadership with some interesting new guests on the docket for February. All right. Awesome. Thank you all. Bye for now, and talk real soon. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope you found something insightful that will enhance your experiences and drive your success. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review and share your thoughts to help us improve the show. Don't forget to head on over to marracxhub.com for more ways to connect with me and learn more about experience management. Until next time, I'm Gary Marra, working hard for your customer and your success.